let's. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm here with Mr. Anton Fishman. He has 30 years or more with experience plus consulting in HR, OD, leadership development, cultural change, strategy formulation. Also, he founded and run a number of consulting practice. His primary experience is with large UK and international clients. So it's an honor to be here. Welcome, Mr. Anton Fishman, and I hope we enjoy a lot our interview and our chat.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I'm looking forward to this. I think I recognize myself in the introduction.
That's nice. That's nice. So I did it right. So let's start with the questions. Bom, listen here. Am I talking Portuguese? Sorry. Well, first of all, I would like to know why you were interested in being a mentor in the first place and enjoying our program that we develop in the Psychology at Work blog.
Well, I think there are some very simple answers to that question. And the first one is that I've had, as you have already said in the introduction, quite a long career. And I've reached that point when I've slowed down, I'm not working full time, and I have got quite a large giving back agenda. And part of that is giving back in a social sense, but a very specific part of that is giving back to the professions that I've been part of. And I really saw this program, actually this really, really impressive program, as coinciding strongly with my intention to give back to the business psychology world, having also done a pro bono mentoring for people in the HR space, which is the other background that I have.
Okay, so nice. And I also would like to know your experience with this mentorship program developed by the team. I want to know the strengths and the positive sides that you saw in this program, and also the weakness and the negative sides that you also see and you feel that we need to improve with this program.
Well, it's going to be very easy, I think, to answer the first of those questions and really quite difficult to answer the second.
Oh, that's nice.
I think so. Look, clearly, matching mentors and mentees is no simple exercise, particularly when you're dealing with a lot of individuals. And I know this program was very popular last year, and I suspect it will be more popular this year. So my experience of being asked by the organizers, not just about whether I wanted to be a mentor, but actually they asked more specifically about the sorts of individuals that I would be interested in mentoring. And I'll have to say, you guys did a superb job in matching those individuals to me. I won't go into what I didn't want and what I did want, but I would just say that I had two mentees, because actually I said I'm more than happy to give time to do more than one. Both different in their own rights, but actually very, very close to the sweet spot in terms of what I said I felt I could best act as a mentor. To be honest, I've had no negatives to offer to you, because my experience, and hopefully if you get the chance to speak to mentees, their experiences have been hugely positive as well. I think the only thing I would perhaps say is that maybe there could have been a touch base part way through the mentoring program by the organizers just to see how it was going. But it was good to know that there was a review at the end of that. And indeed, even that this interview emerged as a result of that as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that, Anton. And it's nice because this is the matching process that you said is all work of Simon Hardeep and Nikita. They do all of this work, and actually they do really, really well because they are so compromised with it. And it's nice when we realize that the effort that you put in something has a good result, and people realize that. So it's nice to hear. Yeah. And getting this point about, you said about your two mentees, I want to know more about this experience with them. Like, what do you think it's important for a professional to be a mentee, for a mentee like who recent graduate, or a mentee who has a more mature professional area? That I think it's your case, that you have mentees with more professional, were more mature in the professional area. And I want to know your experience with them, and what was the sharing that you have, and what that increased in your life, also in your professional life.
Well, I'll have to be very careful because, I don't want to disclose the particular content of those, but I think I can talk in generalities quite safely. And you're quite right. I did say that I wanted to work with perhaps more mature students who were perhaps adding to the already a well-established professional career, this additional insights that come from the sort of master's program that in fact you're on as well. And indeed those were the individuals who came my way. I was really very clear that there is a blend of coaching and mentoring, and I won't go into the sort of the academic debate about what is the difference between the two. So that this was actually in both instances a fair amount of coaching in the more accepted use of that, with coaching skills coming out, particularly as in one instance, one of my mentees was partway through the process applying for a really interesting and challenging job, and we had the opportunity to just take a bit of time out to help her prepare effectively for this. And the delightful thing is she got this great job as well. I think attributes perhaps a little bit too much to me. She got it entirely on her own merits, but in a sense that was not anticipated as part of the contract, if you like, when we started, but it was very it was clearly helpful for her, and I was very happy to do that. My other mentee, again, whilst we were coaching, was in the process of setting up his own consulting practice. And it was quite clear that actually, having done this myself quite a few times, one was adopting in his own case much more of a mentoring role, where actually what one's talking about is sharing about direct experiences, what worked, what different, the very practical things that he ought to be thinking about. And if you like, the center of gravity in that sense shifted to something that was a little bit more directed, but really very practically helpful for him. And in a sense, one had to respond, if you like, to the particular needs of the individuals and actually how that shifted over time. But personally, I was very comfortable either to be a coach, a mentor, or at times a bit of both, and blend that approach.
Oh, that's nice to hear also. And so thanks for sharing your experience with them. And about yourself, I want to know also about yourself. Like, have you developed with this program any personal or professional skills, or do you benefit from it in any way? And if yes, in how? Because you have too much years of experience, so I can imagine that you have already much experience. But it's like, did you get something like in professional ways from you, or personal ways with this program?
Let me just reflect a little bit on this.
Okay.
A simple answer is on the first part there is, look, I've been coaching people for more than 30 years. And therefore, in a sense, this is something I'm both comfortable with and reasonably skilled at. But it's always a pleasure to work with people who are fresh. You never really know whether it's going to work or not, which is why always, and I did this in this case here, we always have an introductory conversation. And I was quite clear that if people were uncomfortable working with me, then I should not be their mentor. So we went through that, and actually it all worked well. So I don't think I learned a huge amount, other than I was reminded of the pleasure of mentoring, if you like, particularly with the opportunity to work with a generation or two younger than me. And to feel that there actually is still something really valuable to talk about and to be useful in that particular way. So did I learn anything new? I'm not entirely sure that I did, other than it's always helpful to be reminded of, if you like, about when to offer advice and guidance appropriately and when that's not really what you're expected to do. And I think in those two instances, as I explained, whilst I shifted, in a sense, that center of gravity, I was very conscious of whether that was appropriate or not to do, because you can overstep the mark, either by not offering the help and guidance that one could freely give if that's really appropriate on the one hand, or being directive when that's absolutely the wrong thing to be doing. So one has, in a sense, to be conscious all the way through about the style one adopts and the appropriateness of that, and in a sense to be sensitive in the moment to that. And I hope that I was sufficiently so. The real judges of that will be my mentees, but they've not suggested that I had got it particularly wrong, so that's quite good.
No, that's amazing. And it's nice because what you said about this insight and this consciousness, I think this is one thing that you don't have like that. You build through time, through experience. So you'll be able to share that with them and know how to interview and how to guide them. This is why we have this program and why we need mentors, right? So I want to finish with two questions.
Okay.
The first is, in your comprehensive way, what are the most significant professional difficulties that you view talking with the mentees or in your daily life, and that can be minimized by this program in somehow, because all the things are so complex in society, but in somehow can minimize a little bit these difficulties in the professional area?
Well, if I just talk specifically about the transition, if you like, from people who've had a professional career, have gone off and invested both in time and no doubt in money, and certainly in terms of hours, in studying for and acquiring a master's degree. The challenge, I think, is actually how do you then integrate what you have learned into your daily practice? And that was, to a degree, what we were talking about, although in fact our agenda, I think, necessarily gets much larger than that, which is really to do with the whole job and the whole individual there. But I think the challenge for anyone who has done if you like an occupation focused master's degree rather than something which is sort of pure academic, is to make the transition from knowledge and insight into effective application and integration into your working practices, and to take, in a sense, models and theories that you have learned and read about and written essays about, and actually saying, well, actually, in the real complex context in which I work, how do I apply this? Which of the alternative frameworks that I've been learning about is most appropriate? How do I explain and express it in a way that perhaps does not sound too academic and psychological? Or indeed, how do I even hide it behind, make it invisible in my practice, but nonetheless apply it? So I think the interesting challenge and the great opportunity for people who've done master's programs like this is for, in a sense, what you have learned and what you've understood, and in a sense, the new conceptual frameworks that you take away with you become integrated seamlessly into the work that you do and raises that to a higher level. And I think that's the role that we have as coaches and mentors, quite specifically, because we're not entering this exercise as a life coach. We're not expressly entering this exercise as how, in a general sense, can we help people succeed in their job, but actually about how that integration process works.
That's nice, because it's like because our life is practical, right? we have to know how to do in practical terms. So it's this integration process and this dialogue between theory and practice is important, and not just like on reading that, but how you said, on putting into terms, into action. And I think this is a big challenge. And to finish our interview with that challenge that you said, Mr. Anton, I want you to give advice. What advice do you give for future mentors and mentees of the program? And that's it.
Okay, well, a couple of things. First of all, if you're thinking about being a mentor, commit to that. So that's the first thing. Do it, because it is professionally rewarding. It is about empowering and, in fact, helping to establish the next generation of applied psychologists. But actually, those psychological skills, those insights from the Masters of Occupational Psychology or Industrial Psychology, Work Psychology, are vitally required in the world of work. Not enough people know about it, not enough people integrated into this world. And actually, its knock-on benefits go well beyond the individuals we're mentoring, but to those in their own organizations who are affected and hopefully whose lives are improved by the interventions that the mentees are making. So there is a first order, but that's actually a very important, perhaps invisible second order impact to the work of the mentor by empowering and enabling the mentees themselves to drive effective change based on psychological principles.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Anton, for the interview. I will just stop the recording. One moment. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience and giving insight for future mentors and mentees, people who want to grow and want to get the knowledge that people can share and build a new future for yourself, a new insight. So thank you so much for sharing and for being able to be here with me. With your time and this interview, okay?
And thank you for giving me the chance to respond.
Oh, thank you. So that's it, guys. This is the interview. So I will stop the recording now.